This is SportsRage. I am Morency, the pitch, the players, the hustlers, the people, the bust them, and everybody else in between. Kicking it with us, Cam Stewart in the house, Gamblu throwing it down just for a couple more moments. We got Jimmy the Bag to step up and in, Big Card Julio, Brent Beard. We got a lot of bases to touch and cover tonight. We're talking UFC right now. So, Lou, any other fights on the card before we get you out of here, or when we move on? We only have a couple more minutes left. Anything else on this UFC card that catches your eye that's worthy of talking about right now?
Great clash of styles between Peruvian Claudio Puelles, who fights a Frenchman, Fares Zayam. Zayam's a 2-1 favorite or so. The clash of styles is Zayam is a long, tall drink of water, and he's primarily a kickboxer, Gabriel. Puelles from Peru, off his rocker when it gets to the feet. He's still developing his striking, but if he can get this fight to the floor, he's going to tie this Frenchman into a pretzel. And I do believe he's going to be able to press the Frenchman against the cage, then onto the floor. He's a plus 160 to plus 175 dog, and I really consider him to be live and in a good spot coming off a loss.
Lou Gamblu in the house with a second period set to begin. Seattle and Vancouver. We'll welcome Sirius back in a couple of seconds here. Quick NBA update. 44-44 with the Warriors and the Lakers. I told you guys I thought it would be a close game. We're tied right now. Also another close game here was Sacramento and San Antonio. We're on the over and we're on Wembanyama in that one. Lou, you're in Arizona, actually. Hold on. I got to welcome Sirius here in a second. But I want to get your take on Arizona and Washington State. Shout out to everybody joining us on Sirius XM Channel 159. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency on the SportsGrid radio and television networks. Lou from Gamblu.com in the house with us. The Ranger Redhead Cam Stewart in the house. Lou, Arizona lost to Washington State. They got upset earlier this year by this basketball team. They're laying 13 points tonight, 12.5, 13. Game getting ready to tip off in a couple of minutes here. What are your thoughts on the Wildcats and the Cougars?
Specifically on this game, that seems like a lot of points to me, even though Arizona is in fact, in the revenge situation. Arizona's focus is to play good down the stretch and get ready for this tournament. They have the coach that can get them to do that. And when Washington State beat them earlier this year, they were still putting it together. So while I'd have to say it would be tough for me to lay those points with my alma mater down in Tucson, I do believe they're a live team to make the Final Four or maybe even go beyond once the big dance starts.
Hey, guys, Gabe, that Washington game, it's 2-point game now. Remember the Huskies were up almost 30 in that game? Like, literally, Arizona State's down a basket now. Must be the biggest.
That's crazy.
Oh, yes. Sun Devils on a heater. For real.
Yeah, they were smoking them. And I tell you what, too, I did jump in, Cam. I didn't get I didn't get a bad number. I got plus 145 and plus 3.5. When I said, you know what, I didn't take Lou. I liked Oregon State tonight, plus 9.5 against Cal, but I didn't love it. I sort of looked. I was like, why the hell would Cal be this big of a favorite? Right. I said they're evenly matched teams, and the game started on me, and then the number plummeted right away, and I was like, oh damn. But then I decided, you know what, I'm getting a bad number, but I'm jumping in anyways. And I took the Beavers plus 3.5 and plus 145, but they're actually up 43-34 at the half right now. And Cal aren't great, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Beavers can hang on and actually win this game. Cam, what's your pick for Washington State and Arizona?
I'm with Lou. I just think it's too many points. I know Arizona's at home, and they might win this game, but the Wazoo, they've been one of the best stories in college basketball, Gabe. They play a mean defense. They're a good team, and they've been good. They've won 7 in a row. Arizona's won 6. Great matchup. I'm going to take the excessive points with the Cougs. You know how I feel about that program, too. It's a shame that they're going to be going away great in football this year and doing overachieving in basketball. Sad.
This game feels like bad beat written all over it, that Arizona are going to win by like 14. They're going to win by 14, yeah, 13 or 14. I'm just saying, I'm clicking at Washington State right now, but I'm like, I'm like, yeah, they're going to be here hanging around by like 8 all night. It'll be one of those in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah, it's 12, 13, 15. Oh, they lost by 16. But all kidding aside, We've got the Ducks and Stanford coming up here too, guys. Hard to trust Stanford. You know what I mean, in any spot. They're actually 1.5-point home favorites. Small chalk here. So, Lou, we've only got you for a couple of more minutes. College baseball has started. I know you're a big college World Series bettor, but the season has started. I've done pretty well so far. I've just sort of picked my spots. There hasn't been a ton of games on the board, but I picked my spots. I've been betting a lot of unders, actually, Lou. You get these big totals in college baseball, 14.5, 15.5, 12.5. A couple of them haven't even threatened and gotten close when I've taken the unders. I like this college baseball, and we see now it's now with all these sports books, it's at the forefront now more than it's ever been, Lou. You can bet on every college baseball game now. You couldn't do that before.
Right. Futures are out. I get into this earlier and earlier each year. I'm from Omaha. I grew up watching the College World Series since I was a kid. And for instance, tomorrow you've got a little tournament going on, and you got Oregon State, a top-ranked team, going into Arkansas to play Arkansas. Now, Oregon State's got tons of bats. We've still yet to determine a week into the season what their pitching's going to be like. But I do like them at a 20-1 clip, 18-1, depending where you shop, to win the whole thing. If they beat Arkansas tomorrow, that number gets cut drastically. So that might be one game to watch. If you like the futures action, Oregon State's a good team. You got to look at Wake Forest, who was in Omaha last year. They were the chalk. The target was on their back. They ran into LSU, and what they do in the offseason, they went and got the top pitcher from Tennessee to play on their team, and then they went and got some young man from Wingate to be a shortstop in the portal. So Wake Forest is all in on this thing. They were there last year. They're not enamored with Omaha anymore. They've got business to conduct. And even though they're 7-1, I don't know how you keep them out. And then lastly, I'll say, in the last 6 years, the SEC's won the College World Series 5 times. They've won 4 in a row, and it's all been with a different team. So close your eye and pick 3 SEC teams, and you're probably going to be in the College World Series.
Man, they dominated college football, and they've dominated college baseball as well. You talked about Wake Forest, Lou, and I've got my eye on this team too. Rhett Lauder, star pitcher. Wake Forest have a serious staff, guys, of like big-time Major League Baseball talent. Lou, it was great to have you back. Great stuff, great breakdown of the UFC fight night. Look forward to doing it again. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us. Where can people find you online, Lou?
Lou at Gamblu.com, and on social, it's at Gamblu. Appreciate you having me on, guys. Great to get back together, and love you.
Hey, fun stuff, Lou. Great stuff. Lou. Thanks for the time. Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting, where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
The first unanimous number 1 team this season in the AP poll, which is the kiss of death. True. Right now, given what we've seen winning on the road in college basketball, it's a kiss of death to walk in there as a unanimous number 1 team in the country. Everyone says you're awesome. Everyone's telling you how great you are. And you go up against a coach, who has your number for the most part.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Guess what? Rock fight alert. Rock fight alert. Look at this Missouri-Tennessee score at the under 16. 1-0 Missouri. What is that?
Watched the entire Penguin game on Sunday. Been watching a lot of their games. I feel like we're seeing the end of the empire. There's talk of them maybe trading some big names.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
I think you try to trade Mikal Bridges. I think he's someone that is a 3-and-D guy, can score, and his game is elevated since leaving Phoenix, even though his game has maybe regressed a little bit from last year. At the number 2 option, Mikal Bridges can fetch you, I would say, at least 3 first-round draft picks. If you're not going to contend with Mikal Bridges, do him right, trade him, do a full rebuild.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people, the Boston, and everybody else in between. The Thursday night throwdown. This week went by pretty quickly. The NBA is back. We've got a full slate of NHL games going on right now as we speak. It's 2-2 right now in the Emerald City. Vancouver were down 2-1. They just tied the game. They're going on the power play right now. There's 14:54 left in the second period of play in Seattle. Meanwhile, the Toronto Maple Leafs are beating the Vegas Golden Knights 4-1 right now on the Strip. The Boston Bruins have tied the game with the Calgary Flames. It's 2-2. So the Bruins are currently minus 120. The Flames are minus 110. Let's bring in a man that probably has action on this game. And if he doesn't, maybe he's going to bet in-game right now with us. Jimmy the Bag is in the house. Good to catch up with you, Jimmy. How you been?
Oh, I've been good. It is great to see both of you guys. Thank you for having me. I have so much action going on right now that I'm a shaky mess. I'm a shaky mess. Why did we choose this life again? What?
It's fun. Roller coasters, Jimmy. We love it. Ups and downs.
The LA
buddy.
Kings have just tied the game.
Oh,
it was 1-0. The Kings just scored 1-1.
You're the bearer of good news, Morency.
So it looks like Jimmy's stressing out the Kings. You need the Kings, Jimmy.
Well, listen to this. This is just too much. Like this, I added to my unit size on January 1st. So my bankroll probably wasn't ready for the addition to the unit size. So tonight, it looks like I will go, and this is just ridiculous. 0-6 in NBA, and turn a profit. Man, how horrifying is this? NHL's taken very good care of me. I was certain that the Penguins were going to smash. One thing that Sidney Crosby offers you is accountability against the worst teams in the league. You can always trust the Penguins against the bottom dwellers of the league. So I got them, on the puck line. My unit size is higher in NHL than it is in basketball. So that is taken care of. I have the Blues. Why are the Blues so disrespected at the Enterprise Center? The market moving towards the Islanders made no sense to me at all. I've got the Flames at plus 110. I've got the Kings -1 at plus 106. I'm on the Leafs. The Morgan Riley played for my club team in Vancouver. I loved what he did to Ridley Gregg. I loved I wish he had put maybe his
I
shoulder
love
in.
Jimmy the Bag. It's the Leafs. He's the only guy who supports the Leafs with me, Gabe.
Yeah, I
Love
said
you,
I
Jimmy.
liked when he teed it up into the net. Actually,
That guy's
and you know what? I
loudmouth.
liked it all. I liked it all. It's sort
Me
of like
too.
a bat flip and hitting the batter after. It's like, all right, you flip the bat, I hit you, like whatever. I thought it was entertaining when it was all said and done. You know what I mean?
It
I
was.
didn't mind the slapping it in the empty net, and I didn't mind. People overreact a little bit. It was a little shove to the head, right? I thought his suspension was worthy.
Gabe, you know that guy's a mouthpiece. He's known around the league. That guy is a chirper. Like chirp, chirp, everybody in the league. Like, trust me, the league went up to Morgan Riley and he probably got a lot of texts. Good stuff, buddy. We got your back. Like, you know what I mean?
did
That guy's
see a
not
good
well-liked.
video, though, Cam, and somebody had a good tweet over it, comment. And they said, watch Riley, like, give up on the play. So he's, like, half-ass skating behind, right? And then after, sort of lost and all that. But go on, Jimmy. You love what he did.
Yes.
Oh, I love what he did.
Another thing, too. Listen, people always say, too, that the Leafs are too soft all the time, right?
Exactly.
So they're sending a message a little bit right there that, hey, we will punch you in the head.
Yeah, we saw Liljegren get hit. Nobody do anything.
That was embarrassing.
The softness in the NHL is, unbelievable. I had no idea why Benning in Vancouver had no respect for toughness. It feels as if nobody has any respect for toughness anymore. And then when the Leafs try to bring somebody in, they bring in a 38-year-old Ryan Reeves who shouldn't be playing hockey. Like, it just idiocy all over the place.
What happens, you're right, Jimmy. What happens, though, is you're right. They build these teams, and then right around this time of the year, right when the playoffs come, they realize, you know what? We don't have any toughness for the playoffs at all.
Yeah.
That's
the problem
what
with Reeves is he can't do anything but fight, right? Like, at least Tom Wilson can beat your face in and do some things. That's the problem with Reeves. He's got no other skills.
Well, it's Dubas.
That's what the Leafs always do.
Marchand.
That's been their problem over the years, though.
Yep.
They think by getting somebody that's crazy, one guy or something. Who was the other dude? I forget his name. He was from Toronto, too. And you guys remember, I think he was on the Sabres before. They brought him in. If you remember, he attacked someone in the first exhibition game. It was literally like his first appearance. He was from Toronto. It was all hyped up. Oh, he's going to add toughness to the team. And they were like, dude, like, you just hit the guy in the face with your stick. You attacked the guy. You got suspended. Someone in the chat. So you guys, someone's going to remember who I'm talking about. Wasn't that long ago. It was like 5, 6, 7 years ago. But you need big guys that can play, though. You're right. Yeah, it's a new chirp league because there's the instigator and stuff. Nothing can happen. Nobody fights anymore, really. There's a few fights, but you can chirp, slash, and mouth off, and nothing's really going to happen to you in the NHL now. And players know that.
Well, you don't need to fight to impose your will. You have to be difficult to play against every second night in the playoffs. And that's why I still believe in the Kings. You got Quentin Byfield at 6'5", Kopitar at 6'5" on that front. When you're dealing with that kind of size, I'm from Vancouver. There was a time right before Todd Bertuzzi smashed Moore's face into the ice where Todd Bertuzzi, I thought, was the most dominant player in the NHL because he had that edge, that toughness, and he could score. You bring up Tom Wilson, there's very few comparisons anymore to that toughness, that being afraid to go in the corner with guys. And Dubas had no respect for it. Dubas managed like a fanboy. He brought in Joe Thornton and Wayne Simmons. Why? Because we're all the same age. Look, we all grew up with Joe Thornton and Wayne Simmons. We're fans of them. But you need to be a businessman, not a fan when you're a general manager. And so what does Dubas do over Pittsburgh? He brings in Carlson, the 100-point scoring defenseman who was a minus 50. I mean, he's just there's just all these guys who don't respect toughness. And maybe because I'm 5'11", and I got beaten up on the ice night in and night out, that I have respect for toughness when these guys don't. Jim Benning was the worst. The worst.
Was it Eric Bolton, Gabe? That guy's Eric Bolton?
No.
Can't play Sabres Leafs? That guy was crazy. He was tough. Westgarth was an animal. I'm trying to think which guy they brought over. Damn. Thornton.
I'm pretty sure he was on the Sabres before. I even think he attacked Phil Kessel.
Nothing wrong with that.
The Kessel wasn't on the Leafs yet. I think it was Kessel of all people. Like he just sort of, or maybe you know what? I think I'm getting it wrong. I think he attacked someone on the Sabres. Actually, maybe that's what it was. It was like the first preseason game. It was like his first. He was from Toronto. He was making money too. Like they ended up not lasting. They ended up getting rid of him. Like after a year type of deal. He didn't play much when it was all said and done. All right, so 2-2 right now. Midway through the second period of play. I'm on under 6.5 and the Vancouver Canucks in this game. And the Canucks get the Bruins up next. Jimmy, you said that you're on the Flames. Sounds like he has a lot of your picks here, Cam. I don't trust the Flames. The question is, can the Bruins go back-to-back, beat the Oilers and Flames in these close games?
Probably. I'm going to be on the Canucks on Saturday night against Boston.
Yeah. The Bruins just beat Canadian teams all the time. Like, they just own Canada.
I don't know how they're doing it, Gabe. Like, like they're losing guys every night, and they still continue to battle. They're just
Dude, they played the Canucks Super Bowl week. They beat them 4-0. They just beat the Oilers last night. You know what I mean? Like I said, Ottawa get them once in a while, I guess. Ottawa's the one team. But
they beat Dallas.
All right, we'll see what Jimmy has in his bag, actually. Jimmy the Bag. With us. We'll take a look at the NBA, a little in-game action in the NBA. We can look at the overnight card as well. MLS is back. F1. A lot of stuff going on this weekend, actually. Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
The first unanimous number 1 team this season in the AP poll, which is the kiss of death. True. Right now, given what we've seen winning on the road in college basketball, it's a kiss of death to walk in there as a unanimous number 1 team in the country. Everyone says you're awesome. Everyone's telling you how great you are. And you go up against a coach who has your number for the most part.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Guess what? Rock fight alert. Rock fight alert. Look at this Missouri-Tennessee score at the under 16. 1-0 Missouri. What is that?
Watched the entire Penguin game on Sunday. Been watching a lot of their games. I feel like we're seeing the end of the empire. There's talk of them maybe trading some big names.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
I think you try to trade Mikal Bridges. I think he's someone that is a 3-and-D guy, can score, and his game is elevated since leaving Phoenix, even though his game has maybe regressed a little bit from last year. At the number 2 option, Mikal Bridges can fetch you, I would say, at least 3 first-round draft picks. If you're not going to contend with Mikal Bridges, do him right, trade him, do a full rebuild.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. Jimmy the Bag in the house. The Rage Arena Cam Stewart with us as well. And Jimmy, last night I was talking. We put a picture up of. You're a big baseball hat and sports jersey guy. So you seen the new Major League Baseball jerseys? They're bad, right? So they're silk screen. They're not even stitched. The lettering is small. Major League Baseball players hate it. And then we realized they got their pants, and we realized they were see-through, right? So you can see through the pants. And if you remember last night, Cam, I said, trust me, I know baseball players. They're going to go commando, and they're going to have their junk hanging out just to, do this for the fun of it. It happened today already. So San Diego today, there's a dude on San Diego, I think it was Rios. Dude on San Diego, he's bending over and stuff, and it's so graphic, Jimmy. Look it up. Yeah. Look it up. It's so graphic that when you click it, you have to give your age on Twitter. It says this is explicit content. And it's like a second because there was Twitter was too open to pornography, etc. So they have these. It's actually so graphic. So finally, the union tonight's listen, we got a real problem with this. And finally, Nike has stepped up, and Nike's this can't happen, right? We designed these pants, but we didn't make them. Fanatics made them, and we got a problem because guys' junk are hanging out. So finally tonight, baseball's decided, all right, we're gonna try to fix this in the next 5 weeks. But I can't believe who would imagine that the baseball season would start and the biggest story of the season would be see-through pants. But this is where we're at right now. Did not one person ever say, you know what, maybe we should try these pants on?
Yeah.
Did they ever say, did they not test them? That's what I'm saying. I do this all the time. I did it the other night at the hockey game. I buy merchandise drunk, guys. I'm all lit up. It's intermission and stuff. I'm in a good mood. It never fits after Jimmy. It's always I don't know why I bought this size, or I don't know what I was thinking here. So it happens all the time. It's they're drunk. It's did you guys plan this out at all? Did you but nevertheless, baseball is back, and the Dodgers are going to kill everyone, Jimmy, as we see. They started off today doing it already.
14-1. The pants reminds me, I was a stand-up comic for 18 years, and New Year's would come around, and I'd be like, oh, I got to get this suit on. I got to put this suit on. I remember the first time, when I had a really big New Year's gig, I was 22, and I didn't have anything to wear. And I went to my dad's place searching for suits. I have no idea what I'm doing. I grab a suit. I wear the same height. I put it on. I go down to Yuck Yucks, and everyone's like, you look funny, man. What's wrong with you? You look, something's wrong. Something's wrong. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I guess I grabbed a double-breasted suit. And they're like, and I'm wearing it open. They're like, no, dude, you look terrible. You gotta button that up. So I'm like, okay, whatever, button it up. So I button it up and I undo it and I button up and I undo it. It's fine. So I go out on stage, 30, 45 seconds in, I tell a joke, it bombs. I try to undo the double and I can't do it. I can't get the button off. And for any of you guys who've been on stage in situations like this, what happens is the flop sweats. You can't get your suit off. I just started dripping in sweat. Actually, it was one of the worst New Year's gigs I've ever done. I remember I bombed. Who cares? There was a great headliner coming on after me, and so of course, I went backstage. I immediately did mushrooms, and then. At the end of the show, about an hour later, they're like, you guys should, 10 minutes to midnight, just come out, tell a joke. Each one of you guys tell a joke, and I'm tripping balls. I have what joke? You want me to go up there and tell a joke?
You're like, I'm not going back out there. You're like Michael Bublé. You're like Michael Bublé at the NHL All-Star game when he said, man, I did too many mushrooms. Well, I never thought we'd hear that from Michael Bublé.
Bublé's the man. One of my best friends was his opener.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the man. One of my best friends was his opener for 6 years until he went into stadiums. And he was just, money in the bank. Everyone loves Bublé. In fact, one of my best friends, he got fired from working with him because they thought that he was smoking too much ganja, and Bublé loves the ganja, but it affects the voice. And they fired him. They fired him because they're like, we see you smoking with Bublé. We don't want Bublé smoking. We don't want to ruin the...
He was a bad influence on Bublé. Bublé's image is changing quite a bit with age. I love this new era that we're in. But what do you think of the Blue Jays this year, Jimmy? People were upset. They got their hopes up. They were going to get Ohtani. That might have been a pipe dream. And, he was going to go to the Dodgers the whole time, right? But they got excited about that. Somewhat of a disappointment that they didn't really do anything else after, because the implication was, oh, they mean business. They've got money to spend. And you figured, all right, Cody Bellinger. Bellinger's still out there now, but they're not going to be signing him. But even forget about like them not signing people, they still have a very good team as it is. Manoah will be a big key for them if he can get back on track this year. Are you? Is the glass half full or half empty for you, Jimmy, with the Blue Jays?
My first instinct is just sadness. We have Vladdy Guerrero, we have Bo Bichette, absolute monsters. You build your team around them, and I imagine 2 or 3 years from now we'll look back and say, "Wow, we sure wasted that opportunity." And so, seeing our win total at 83.5 wins, the Orioles are juggernauts. The Yankees have gotten stronger. The Rays, even with the whole Wander Franco situation, are still going to be a great baseball team. It's just sad. I mean, I have low expectations. Because we're gamblers, I don't care. I'm going to make the bets that I care about. Here, in my Stanford, I got Stanford, Oregon. I'm all of a sudden I'm the biggest Stanford fan ever. I can really suspend my disbelief. I can let go of my love for the Jays. Whatever I'm betting on will be my favorite team. But I don't have high expectations. I love Justin Turner. I think that's a great move to have a professional bat, a bat that you can trust in the most important situations. But I'm certain we're going to waste Vladdy and Bo's, the years that we could have.
Jimmy, they go out and get David Cohn, or they go out and get Ricky Henderson. When they were close, they do what the Dodgers do. They go, okay, well, we're a great team. We're top 3. If we get these players, we might get over the top, hence the 2 championships. They just don't play ball like that anymore.
We have a bad news alert here.
Well,
the Seattle Kraken have just taken a 4-2 lead on the Canucks.
Oh, God. Wow. Leafs just scored again, 6-1. They're killing the Vegas, and I need Vancouver. That sucks.
Wow. Vancouver Canucks, this their first 3-game losing streak of the season. Now it's going to be their first 4-game losing streak of the season. And they get the Bruins up next on Saturday.
Perfect.
And you're right. You're right, Jimmy. One thing about this, people sort of made this in Vancouver around the Canucks is tonight a must win. And I was thinking, you know what? They can win tonight, come back home, lose to Boston, and they're right back. The Bruin game is the key one. That's the one. That's the statement game. They lost to the Bruins 4-0 a couple of weeks ago. They've struggled against the top-tier teams. They're going to be riding into this game with a 4-game losing streak. Boston's been on the road all week, so you're going to load up on the Canucks on Saturday, aren't you? God, I'm going to have too much money on that game, too. And it's going to be Boston. They better win.
Heavy. With Hampus Lindholm hurt and then Grzelcyk, I don't know if Grzelcyk's playing tonight, but he looked like he was going to be out for an extended period of time. Anytime, my best angle in NHL betting over the years, always, you're missing 2 of your top 4 defensemen, I will bet against you. And the problem with the Bruins is they're so gutsy. They have so much character. There's such a I feel the Bruins fans are very lucky because they're one of the few teams in the league that are full of character and full of guts and will play their hearts out for you. I think the Canucks are in a perfect situation, and I was saying that today on my show. I was saying I kind of hope the Kraken win here to even set up the Canucks better here. But look, I'm not in any belief that the Canucks are going to go on this huge run. in the playoffs. I'm not. And maybe that's because I've been a Canucks fan my whole life and all I know is to lose. But I find it hard to believe when you have a team like Vegas who's now going to circumvent the cap with the LTIR, and we still allow it to happen. And so now with Stone going out, now they can bring Eichel back if they want. They just need to keep Stone out until the end of the regular season. The Canucks, so while the Vegas could open up $18 million, the Canucks can open up $600,000 by keeping Soucy, out of the lineup until it's not fair.
Vegas has been doing this stuff for years too. And are they the only team that can figure this stuff out, Morency? It's their MO. They do it all the time. That's how they're smart, man. They know how to play the game.
They're aggressive.
They are.
Tampa.
They know the rules. Tampa
invented it.
Yeah,
What it was, the guy that invented the rule actually worked at the league. Tampa were ahead of everybody and hired the guy. He wasn't working in the NHL office anymore, and they hired him. And they were like, "You're the ultimate cap expert. You wrote the damn rules." And they found the loop. He was like, "Yeah, this is the loophole." And then Vegas stole that guy. So it's like it's the same guy that caught up with it. But if other teams don't want to be aggressive, right, and figure it out. So, 4-2 with 3 minutes left in this. Leafs are rolling. I was going to say for the Canucks, the one thing that's saving them is everyone around them loses. Like Vegas is losing. The Oilers lost last night, so they're not losing any ground. Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
The first unanimous number 1 team this season in the AP poll, which is the kiss of death. True. Right now, given what we've seen winning on the road in college basketball, it's a kiss of death to walk in there as a unanimous number 1 team in the country. Everyone says you're awesome. Everyone's telling you how great you are. And you go up against a coach, who has your number for the most part.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Guess what? Rock fight alert. Rock fight alert. Look at this Missouri-Tennessee score at the under 16. 1-0 Missouri. What is that?
Watched the entire Penguin game on Sunday. Been watching a lot of their games. I feel like we're seeing the end of the empire. There's talk of them maybe trading some big names.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
I think you try to trade Mikal Bridges. I think he's someone that is a 3-and-D guy, can score, and his game is elevated. He's leaving Phoenix, even though his game has maybe regressed a little bit from last year. At the number 2 option, Mikal Bridges can fetch you, I would say, at least 3 first-round draft picks. If you're not going to contend with Mikal Bridges, do him right, trade him, do a full rebuild.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the first time this year I actually am getting frustrated watching the Vancouver Canuck games. It's been such a free-flowing year for them. They've lost. They look distraught, like going into they're skating off the ice right now after the second period of play. Riding a 3-game losing streak, down 4-2 right now. I wouldn't dismiss them going on a little bit of a run, though, here in the third period of play. Let's get an updated number right now. So the Canucks are getting 2.5 goals, which we always talk about is always that time to jump in on teams. They're getting 2.5 goals, but it is minus 150. Canucks are plus 550 on the money line to come back and win. They're down by 2, 4-2 after 2. The Calgary Flames have just beaten the Boston Bruins 3-2 in overtime.
Thank you.
So Calgary beats Boston this evening. And the Predators and the Kings tied at 1 right now with 14 minutes left in the second period of play. We've got a bunch of college basketball going on, and we told you guys we thought Washington State was getting too many points. It's a close game so far, 24-21. Wazoo are up on Arizona. Speaking of college basketball, let's see what Big Card Julio likes tonight. We got a bunch of action going on. Julio Rosario. What's up, Julio?
Gabe, Cam, hope you guys are doing well. I got smacked in the face tonight. Took Western Illinois, my alma mater, plus 5.5, and, well, wasn't even close. So it was a rough night. I think I only had one win with Northern Kentucky. So I'm really pulling for Greg Paulus's Niagara tomorrow, plus 1.5. Look, Niagara, 16-8 against the spread this season. Greg Paulus is doing some great things at a school where, baby, it's tough to recruit. So give me Niagara tomorrow. Even a better price on the money line. Give me the Purple Eagles. Let's soar.
All right, you're going with Niagara.
Rivalry. Against Canisius, Gabe.
Canisius.
Toronto Raptors analyst Jack Armstrong used to be the coach of Niagara.
Yes.
He used to come on my show when he was the coach of Niagara in the old days. 71-66 for the Beavers right now. We're trying to hang on to this money line play and the plus 3.5. They're up a 5 spot right now with 5 minutes left in Berkeley. So, Julio, the Ducks in Stanford, no action for you here tonight. Jimmy's on Stanford. He was just with us. Jimmy, the bag. As it is right now, the Ducks are minus 130 on the money line. The total's 154.5. I'm going to jump in on the Ducks on the money line, guys. Minus 130 right now. Julio, Cam, I'll throw it to you first. Julio, any action for you on this game?
No action for me in this game. I'm actually staring at the Battle of California right now. The Anteaters and the Gauchos, Irvine and Santa Barbara. It's 33-25 Irvine right now. Late first half, so I'm going to stare at the second half number and see what we can obtain. Right now, it's Irvine minus 12.5 on the live line. 151 shaded to the over.
Yeah, this game is definitely on pace to the over right now, Julio. I think the total could be worth a look. UC Irvine aren't the same team that they used to be with. They used to play like defense and 56-50 games and stuff like that. You'll notice they run up and down the court now. You can't recruit. You can't in modern era. These coaches realize like we can't get players and tell them not to shoot. Why would they want to come here? You know what I'm saying? All right. So Irvine, I could live with the over 151.5 in this game. So what do you got for us, Julio? What are your best bets?
Hey, let's start on the ice. Tomorrow, the Winnipeg Jets travel to Chicago. They take on the Hawks. I'm going to take Winnipeg on the puck line, minus 1.5 against the pesky Hawks. And give me the Oilers in regulation against Minnesota, minus 115. I hate these Friday cards because there's so little hockey games going on in the NHL. So I dive into the college ranks, gentlemen. Minnesota Duluth take on North Dakota. I expect a high-scoring game. Give me over 6 goals in Minnesota Duluth and UND. And then I like under 5.5 out east with UNH, New Hampshire, and UMass, under 5.5 goals.
Look at you. You're getting some hardcore plays here.
Have you guys put in the futures for the PWHL? They got futures on my book. For the ladies, you still betting that league, guys?
Oh, baby, yes, I am, Cam. I'm glad you brought them up. Tell me what 79% right now betting I'll tell you what is under 5.5 goals in the PWHL. Under 5.5 at a beautiful 78%. I got to look at my notes because I have it here. Oh, mamma mia, I had it in my notes.
The
But
goaltending in that league is phenomenal. I watched a game the other night. This goaltender in Minnesota standing on her. I'm like, who are these goalies, Gabe? And I know they had to they open up big numbers early, and they're still going under. It's crazy. Great defense, goaltending.
We should note though, like Julio's talking about 5.5. All the games are 4.5 now.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up, Gabe. Under 4.5 goals at a 58% clip right now, 40 and 28. So we've got 68 games thus far in the PWHL, which is a good sample size. So under 4.5, as Gabe mentioned, is what's being offered now in the books, 58%. So you got it was on an over pace. So right now you've got to take the under. You're getting some good prices at 4.5 goals.
I wonder. I noticed this week. I was watching the game earlier in the week. It was. I think it was Ottawa and Boston. It opened up. It really started to open up as the game went on. So it was fine. It might have been the highest scoring game. There was a lot of goals. It was slow scoring early. I've had a ton of success as well with I played the alt line, Julio, so I'll just buy the actual. I'll just make it 5.5. They don't always let you do it. They did. They didn't. They're sort of on and off with that. Or I'll wait until there's a goal. And I like to get in on that 5.5. But as far as futures are concerned in this league, and look, Friday night, tomorrow night, we have New York and Toronto in action. And Toronto have turned it around. Right? Toronto had bad puck luck earlier in the season. And this team is rolling right now. They stumbled out of the gate. They can score. They've scored 26 goals on the season. Everybody hyped up Minnesota. But as far as, who's going to win, Cam, as far as the future, it's too wide open. I don't think there's really a dominant team. I would say that it comes down to Minnesota, Montreal, and Toronto. Would you agree, Julio? Minnesota are good because they have that home ice. They got 13,000 fans a game. Their goalie is good. They have good players, Minnesota. They are good. But Montreal are really good. And Montreal might be the best sort of offensive team as far as putting the puck in the net and stuff, even though they've got the same amount of goals as Minnesota does. And Toronto have a ton of talent. They're coming on right now, so I wouldn't dismiss Toronto either.
To your point, Gabe, look at the separation. So Montreal's the favorite, plus 280, Minnesota plus 320, Boston plus 450, Toronto plus 480, New York plus 500, and Ottawa 650. So there's no
I would say there's value on Toronto.
Yeah,
interesting.
I would say
5-1.
I would agree. At the start, when they posted the futures, I took Minnesota at 4-1 simply on value. I thought they should have been at the current price around plus 325. So I agree with Gabe. If we're going to look for value, Toronto would be the play. Montreal is the favorite right now, as you mentioned, Cam. But I think Minnesota, Toronto, Montreal, probably the top three. At minus.
Yeah, not bad value with Toronto, actually. Like I said, this team's getting better and better. The season's not too long. You don't have to wait, which, unlike the MLS, and, man, the MLS Cup is awarded in December, and we're starting the season now. I'm not even going to bother. How can I can't justify it. They take 1 month off of regular season play for that League Cup again, Julio, this year. It's just so effing long. I don't have a problem with it. Bring it on as far as betting on the games and stuff like that. But I'm not going to play any MLS futures. But I was on the right side last night of the Miami game, but I lost with a Suarez prop to score a goal. I had both teams to score as well. I was surprised that Miami shut them out. But we got a full slate. I'm going to get Zara on tomorrow. But we got a full slate of MLS on Saturday, Julio.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take a goal approach, maybe a goal over the 70. Some books offer 72nd minute, 73rd. But I think we're going to get some late goals conceded in the MLS. And I agree with you, Gabe. Not only that, but we also have Copa America in North America this year. So you might if you're going to bet the futures, maybe get some value now on some teams. But I think for the big guys, you might as well wait until after the summer to play a little bit of futures because it's going to be a long, long year in North American soccer.
I was thinking about it, too. I like a can't-lose parlay. The Dodgers to win a division and Max Verstappen to win the Formula One championship. But the problem with this one is, where the hell is this Laker game? Here it is. I've been clicking around for like the last minute and a half.
Golden State's on a nice little heater.
It's on channel 918 for me. So, yeah, the F1 season, no, that doesn't end until like November, December as well. So that's a little way. That's a little ways away. But good parlay material this weekend, guys. Like a good example, what you just talked about, Julio. I'm going to do it tomorrow night. Like I'll get greedy too. I'll turn New York and Toronto into like 6.5, and I'll just parlay it with Max Verstappen to win the race this week in Bahrain. He's minus 300. He's going to win the race, right? So you just you stockpile the parlays going into Saturday night, overnight, into Sunday morning with Max Verstappen. Look, last year he won 19 of the 22. It's pretty dominant. Like, it's pretty effing dominant.
Not
it's
bad.
like he's the most dominant bet in sports, Julio.
Yeah, I would agree, Gabe. You might as well look at other little pieces as well to try to build a plus parlay with PWHL, Max Verstappen, and try to find some other locks across the sporting world. I mean, there's a lot of leagues, so a lot of chances to make some money if you don't want to just bet the NBA or bet the big time college basketball teams. There's opportunities galore. Cam is fantastic with golf. We've got UFC with Gamlu, as he mentioned earlier. I mean, there's so many avenues where we can try to make some money. Let's avoid the big dogs. Let the lemons take over that. Let us take advantage of these other sports while everyone's sleeping.
Well, college basketball Saturday is tailor-made for parlays. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the best thing. You've got like 80 games. You got all these teams. Oh, they're 8-point favorites. You don't want to lay 8 with them. You just take them on the money line with Max Verstappen. Next thing you know, you got a minus 128 parlay. That's the way to go with this. If not, listen, you want to leave the money on the table, leave the money on the table, right? It's sort of like the Minnesota Golden Gophers. You don't want to bet them, fine, but they're 23-3 against the spread right now. And Max Verstappen, over the last 2 years, man, the guy, and their first day of testing, they just murdered it as well. Maybe next year in Formula One, not this year, but next year when you have all these changes and stuff, and I think everybody's going to concede the year to Red Bull again this year. Like, basically, you have all these drivers in Formula One now. Like, Lewis Hamilton's leaving Mercedes. He's going to Ferrari. So it's his last year with Mercedes. You really think Mercedes are going to go all in here and share all their technology with a guy that's leaving? Yeah. They're going to say, whatever, dude. It's our last year with him. Just leave the car the same, and we'll work behind the scenes on stuff because we don't want him taking our technology with us. Yeah, conversely, you have Carlos Sainz at Ferrari, who he's being replaced by Lewis Hamilton. So they're going to box him out all year, right? They're going to keep secrets. They're going to be little tweaks that Leclerc will have on his car that he won't. You know what I'm saying? Like, Red Bull's going to roll. Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
The first unanimous number 1 team this season in the AP poll, which is the kiss of death. True. Right now, given what we've seen winning on the road in college basketball, it's a kiss of death to walk in there as a unanimous number 1 team in the country. Everyone says you're awesome. Everyone's telling you how great you are. And you go up against a coach who has your number for the most part.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Guess what? Rock fight alert. Rock fight alert. Look at this Missouri-Tennessee score at the under 16. 1-0 Missouri. What is that?
Watched the entire Penguin game on Sunday. Been watching a lot of their games. I feel like we're seeing the end of the empire. There's talk of them maybe trading some big names.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
I think you try to trade Mikal Bridges. I think he's someone that is a 3-and-D guy who can score, and his game is elevated since leaving Phoenix, even though his game has maybe regressed a little bit from last year. As the number 2 option, Mikal Bridges can fetch you, I would say, at least 3 first-round draft picks. If you're not going to contend with Mikal Bridges, do him right, trade him, do a full rebuild.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Golden State Warriors and the Lakers coming to the end of the third quarter right now. Warriors are now up 96-80. In-game total is 236.5. They're up by 16 with 12 seconds remaining right now in the third quarter of play. Close one going on in Sacktown. We've got the over 241.5 in this game. It's 109-105 right now with 6 minutes left. The in-game total is 246.5. Sacramento, we're laying 9.5 in this game. I got a Victor Wembanyama prop over 23.5 points that I don't think is going to get there. He's got 16 points and he's not even on the court right now. So I don't think we're going to get there. Julio, your final thoughts, best bets on the way out, make people think you're smart. Would a final win?
Manchester City clean sheet against Bournemouth plus 150, and Erling Haaland, the super Swede, first goal scorer plus 240. I leave you with that, gentlemen.
You're going back to your boy here, huh? It's not as automatic as it used to be, Julio.
Yeah, he's coming back from injury. This is like his fourth or fifth game back, so I think he's getting in full swing. So take the option of Void if he doesn't start, because there's a possibility that he'll come out as a second half sub. But Erling Haaland, first goal scorer.
I lost last night taking Luis Suarez to score. He could have scored too. I don't know if you saw it. He was in the box and he passed it. Messi passed it to him to hey, score. And he was like, no, I'll pass it over to Gomez. And Gomez scored. But Suarez, he's like plus 140 to score. They're playing LA Galaxy. Everyone's going to play Messi all the time. But I think Messi, you're going to see, he's going to become more playmaker, as you saw last night. He sets people up now. He's like, you go ahead. They got strikers, right? Messi's not like a goal scorer by nature, actually. He's a great all-around player, right? He wants to set people up and stuff. So take Suarez to score against the Galaxy.